You're listening to Moonhawk Studios Presents. All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Moonhawk Studios Presents. I am your host, Mac Paladin, and with me in the studio, as always, is my good friend Adam.
Hello.
All right, the Golix is here.
Yes, I am when I'm not muted because of coughing. Or forgetting to turn it back on after not cough, whatever.
Petty Fan is in the room.
I actually did my job for once, but that's for later.
All right, Twilight Winter is here.
Aye.
I see Elemental Ogre on the call, but is he actually here?
No, I've disappeared into the ether.
He's actually walked out of the bushes.
Yeah.
He's returned at last.
Actually,
Prodigal son returns.
Yeah,
Huh?
he returned last week.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a show last week, so.
Sorry for the no-show last week. I was, as they say, crotch deep in my movie production.
Well then.
Yes.
Another highly technical term, I assume.
Ogre, we missed you, and we hope your commentary is as sharp and witty as it always has been.
I hope so too. Turn to the camera and thumbs up and smile. Ting.
All right, so tonight we will be talking about the latest developments on the Starship Moonhawk movie comic, but before that happens, Adam, why don't you bring us up to speed on the news?
Oh, geez, the news. Let's see. When was the last time we did a show?
Week before last?
Well, it's
Yeah,
like...
this week.
Well, in that intervening time, I managed to have a car accident. Don't worry, I'm fine. It's just my car is totaled. Working through all the insurance dealy bobs. It's actually been pretty smooth because, well, A, nobody got hurt. Like, I had some minor injuries, but, like nobody had to go to the hospital or is permanent crippled or anything like that. So, in terms of accidents, it's a good one, if you will. It's probably going to be a while before I get a replacement card because there are some other things I have to do that are unrelated to anything to do with the car that I won't go into here. But it's like most of the insurance stuff is been taken care of or is getting taken care of. Next up, I have to take care of the citation in a few weeks. I mean, I'm not rushing to pay that because, well, fuck them. Yeah. Also got a new laptop last week. Like, it literally got delivered about half an hour before last week's Fragments of Silicon. I managed to read off all the stats there, but it's double the power of my old one. It's like it's got 8 gigs in it.
Of RAM.
Yes, gigs of RAM. It's got I think this goes up to at least 900p as far as screens. Like, it's a mid. Like it was a 8 gig 17-inch laptop that was under $500, so I jumped to get that.
Sure.
Especially since my old laptop was about 5.5 years old. So, it was starting to have problems. Like, things just slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
And the big reason was because games. I'm like, because I work on a video game web show. It's not entirely accurate to call it a podcast anymore, is it? It's like
Not really.
So the point is, we get games that are sometimes requiring more power than what my old laptop had, and that made them hard to play. I'm looking at you, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, for example.
Also, special
So,
mention: the Dark Dreams don't die.
yeah, among others. Point is, 8 gigs of RAM. Like, I think clock speed's about 2.5 gigs. Gigahertz. Like,
I'm guessing dual core.
Intel Core i5.
Well,
Actually,
they make a dual core and a quad core version. So if you have the mobility version and the coding at the end ends with QM, then that's quad core mobility or MQ.
it says Core i5 here. So
We can look later.
yeah, I'm like, the point of order is I've got a brand new laptop, and it's been working fine. Although I haven't had a real chance to test out its muscle in terms of graphical capabilities, because I've been working on reviews for the show. But yeah, that's what's been going on with me in the past 2 weeks or so. A lot of stuff's happened. Hopefully things will calm down. I'm like, you know, yeah, I'm just glad that nobody got hurt in the accident, and the the damage, financial and otherwise, is going to be minimal. Like, heard back the other day from the other insurance, and they're getting the car repaired, so it's going to be below the threshold, so no worries there. I mean, uh, insurance premiums are probably going to go up, but I don't think that's for another 6 months, because the thing, like, literally just renewed. They don't readjust until it renews. It's like every 6 months. But yeah, it's like, yeah, next month I got to start, the next phase, maybe, which I'm hesitant to talk about, for personal reasons, but address that as it comes. All right, Ogre, why don't you go next, because you haven't been on an MSP broadcast since what, August, July?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Indeed.
Let's see. Most of it is just boredom after getting about 7 teeth on the top jaw and 4 or 5 teeth taken out. Don't know if that counts the wisdom teeth, but who really counts those at this point? Had those removed, which always fun.
Jeez.
And just been boredom waiting until I get my dentures, which have been slowly getting towards. I.e., just today I got in with my dentist and had a framework fitting, which means I have 2 more fittings before I get my actual dentures. And then I may not go on a rampage of some sort.
Or rip your dentist's teeth out and use those.
Ogre, you're slowly turning into Petty Fan here.
Jesus. I don't need 2 of them.
But let's see, other than that, just played a bunch of different games. Dragon Quest 7 and 8 really helped out with that. And that's pretty much the gist of it, honestly.
All right. Well, since his name was invoked, Petty Fan, you go next.
I have been summoned. I mean, wait, what? Not a whole lot's been happening for me. Just some games I want to get, but don't have the money to get them. Just been like playing stuff for the show. Been playing Final Fantasy 14. But something was going to note last week, but didn't because we didn't have a show, is I actually fulfilled my role as associate producer for once.
Yay!
March 22nd, we will be having Draconis, also known as Drek. He makes Final Fantasy XIV videos, and we'll be interviewing him, so that's going to be fun.
Nice.
And he's also going to be bringing along one of his cohorts who goes by the name Seabass.
Oh, damn. See, now you put the pressure on.
I already have the questions and stuff set up, so I can basically just chill now.
Nice. Galix, did you have something to add?
Other than your lung.
Sorry, get to mute that time.
Yes, you did.
Sorry.
But yeah, other than that, just been doing stuff and things and whatnot.
All right. All right, Galix, let's get you out of the way so that way you can go back on mute.
Yeah. No, I had it on mute when I hit the mute button, I think. Anyway. So yeah, I've been sick since last Friday. I'm actually feeling mostly okay right now, except for the, intermittent racking coughs, which definitely sound as bad as they feel. I took 2 days off from work, and, well, I guess there are worse times to be sick and home from work than when a new video game comes out, so I actually had some time to play Breath of the Wild on the Wii U.
Mhm.
Though I have not actually progressed much because there's a lot of messing around to do in that game, and I mess around a lot in games.
I'm probably going to get that version myself because I can't afford a Switch at any time in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a Switch for my birthday in April if I can.
No. Doodles? No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I bought a new
Almost-
laptop instead of a Switch. I do not regret this choice.
Yeah. What kind of laptop could you get for the price of a Switch?
This one,
You'd be surprised.
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you keep in mind it's the Switch plus Zelda. I'm factoring in
Right.
here.
And possibly other. Right, gotcha.
Yeah. It's like the entire fucking price evens out.
True. Zelda ended up being kind of expensive for me because I got a couple of amiibos to go with it.
Mhm.
Anyway. So I've been playing that. Luckily, I was feeling good enough to go into work today, and that proved to not be too terrible. So, I mean, I actually am lucky that I got it over within 5 days, pretty much. The guy who I think is the Vector Zero for this, though he has a kid at home, so I think that's why he's still out of work most of the time or working from home. And some of the other people were out for over a week, so
Oh, boy.
I'll take what I can get.
All right.
Oh, and I did go to the day I was getting sick. I went to a pre-release event for the trading card game I'm doing, and that was fun. This is a trading card game with more complicated mechanics than Pokemon, so it's hard to build decks for that, but it was a nice experience of trying to learn at least.
Mhm.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but the trading card game in question is called Force of Will.
Mhm.
It plays very similar to Magic the Gathering, but there are some significant differences in terms of resource structure and stuff.
Nerds. Kidding.
Says the man who hosts this debauchery.
I prefer the word debacle.
There we go.
All right. Twilight. What's up, buddy?
Well, I've been lucky not to get sick since there's been some illness going on around here as well, but yeah, I've been lucky so far. Anyway, this past weekend, my uncle came to visit. Don't see him very often, and got to hear some of his stories from his time in the Air Force. And then Sunday, me and my mother went to check out burial plots at the cemetery.
Oh.
They're fine. And me and my mother and father are fine health wise. Just making sure to go ahead and get over with, so I don't have to deal with it when time comes.
Not a case of imminent death, just a matter of being prepared for real estate when that comes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my mother did that not too long ago. She was in a really bad car wreck about 2.5 years ago, and after she recovered from that, she made steps to prepare for her eventual passing. So when so when she eventually goes, everything will go about as smoothly as it can. Now, which believe me, for a death, it can be very, very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody over the age of 40 should at least be looking into getting their affairs in order. It's just sort of the natural order of things. It used to be that they said that you should start preparing your last will and testament after you turn 30, but you can do it at any time, really.
Man, that
So-
would include me, and what the fuck do I have to leave to anyone? I guess I have a lot of amiibos in a manga collection.
Well, I'm
What day-
done.
all right. What day was our last show? Yeah, today's the 8th. A
I
week
think it
ago
was
would
just
have been
2
the
weeks ago.
first.
Yeah.
A week ago would have been the first. So I just couldn't remember if I had mentioned that I am.
22nd?
Yeah.
Was it?
I think
I
so,
was
yeah.
off that day. As I mentioned
Oh no, wait,
back
it might have
then,
been the 20. Well, yeah, 22nd would have been 2 weeks ago.
that was
Yeah.
a Wednesday. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I am the big 4-0 now.
Old
Right.
man.
I know.
And I
know.
can say that because I'm the young one of the group.
I still have about 3.5 years before I hit 40, so
Shut your face. I don't really feel 40 though. I mean, really, I haven't felt much in the way of physiological changes throughout my mid 20s to today. So, I mean, in my 30s, I developed a varicose vein on my leg, and but that's more from sitting around than old age. Really sedentary lifestyle, and I've been working to reverse that, and it hasn't gotten any worse. So, yay! Now you guys get to know a lovely aspect of my health.
we try
So-
to learn as little of that as possible.
I was about to ask what color does it change when you poke it?
No.
It doesn't, but it's hell when the cats jump on my lap
We know.
and hit me with their full weight directly in the inner left thigh.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah. Actually, though, like I said, I've been walking a lot more since September, when the event happened. I've been trying to get back into shape. I dropped from 305. I was down to 278. I'm back up to 285. I was down to 278. And so I put back on 7, but I've managed to keep off 20.
Hmm.
So that's a huge step in the right direction.
Mm.
And that's really important because continued health is going to be essential for what's happening starting Friday. For the last 2.5 weeks, me, Keith W., and Alex Womack have been piecing together the assets necessary to create the cold open and opening credits of Starship Moonhawk, The Death of Perseus movie comic.
Fancy.
Yeah, when you see the final product, you'll be quite impressed with it. And it only gets better from there. The teaser act, as they sometimes call it in television, or as it's more commonly known now thanks to Alec Baldwin, the cold open. The cold open is basically it's an enticement segment before the regular episode starts. But the length of this particular completed movie will be about 2 hours and 30 minutes. So we're billing it as a feature film.
I mean, it's
And
long enough.
Yeah, well, it's going to be over 200 pages of comic.
Yeah.
So it's being slowly converted into a motion comic and we're doing this very differently. Instead of I don't know if you guys follow this kind of stuff on YouTube, but like there's been a lot of people who hired actors and did like various Batman comics and Spider-Man and stuff like that. And they're all up on YouTube. And what they kind of do is they add voices and sound to it, and then the camera just kind of pans around to the various panels of the comic book without really adding anything to it. Now, I mean, I've seen this before, like when they were talking about the new, the new Captain Marvel. They did some animated elements in the trailer while they were discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going a step beyond. We're taking my original artwork and Nico Chier's original artwork and Keith's artwork that he's currently working on for Chapter 3 and the beginning of the new opening Chapter 4. And we're actually cutting it apart and making animated elements out of it. Now, trying to remember, 2 weeks ago, didn't we play the theme song
I believe so.
and a very early edition of the opening credits?
I believe so.
Yeah, well now Keith has gone in After Effects and created planets and nebulas and entire solar systems, actually animated the ship doing stuff, fixed all the title optics. We've cast probably about a half dozen new people, with more people coming along. I was actually talking with people all day today, and I believe I got a new actor yesterday who's going to probably play either Senior Chief Marla Janus or Commander Renee Fredericks, the first officer of the Horizon. Isn't that great? My cat is now sitting on me incorrectly. But yeah, we got a lot of new actors for this. And this will mark my debut. Now, Adam is the first person on this podcast to actually see what will be debuted on Friday. And for those of you guys who have been paying me, you will also get to see it a couple days early.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put it up on Patreon for all paid patrons.
Cool.
And the first segment will go into our Space Destroyer Hunter Indiegogo campaign as well, to try and get a little more interest. Sadly, notice how I say that. Sadly, in the last 2 weeks, we've gained a whopping $30 towards our ultimate goal.
That's money.
Well, if we get to $500, I'm going to use it to hire some of these actors to do acts 2 and 3 of the Mercadian Affair. Because, as I said, we're going to be doing the movie in 7 parts. So, cold open plus opening credits, Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the 7th and final part will be the epilogue tag, or as they call it, the tag and credits. Now, the epilogue is actually kind of long. It's about 20, 25 pages. But it's, let's just say a lot will be revealed. And I just hope that the Mercadian Affair isn't too spoilerish for my readers, considering the fact that there's a lot of story in the novel series that has yet to be told. Plus stories we're holding back for the animated TV series that we're planning on doing at some point. So there's a lot of stuff getting ready to roll. But I've had a lot of people approach me and ask, well, why are, it's like you got this Indiegogo campaign running and it's not doing so hot. Why are you doing this movie comic? And I said, precisely because the Indiegogo is failing. And what
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like, who are you?
Exactly. And we've had this discussion before. And I said, well, I've started getting a little bit of popularity lately. Let's take it for a test drive and see where it leads us. And this experience has told me everything I need to know in terms of just how well we're doing and so on and so forth. And also, it gives me kind of an idea of how much I can rely on, actors and celebrities alone to promote this. Now, hey, if George Takei tweeted about us and told everybody to go look at it, or William Shatner, who knows?
Mhm.
They both have a couple million followers on Twitter. But unless that were to happen, I don't think we're going to get a miracle ass pull out of this campaign. So we have kind of, since we've been set to flex funding, we have a sort of tiered response. And I'm going to put this to the people who have contributed to the campaign. If you wish to stay in the campaign, then the money will be allocated towards hiring the actors to finish the movie comic. And then maybe in 6 months to a year, we'll try again to get the fully animated episodes funded. Which also means that I will have time to...
Yeah, it'd be good to try to do more promotion and behind-the-scenes stuff.
Well, it'll give us time to get some other financials in order so that my animation team can make a better product. Because if we, like, for example, the reason we were raising money for this, a couple of the people insist on getting paid, and I can't fault them for that because they are professionals. But at least one person on our team, notice how I'm not naming names, at least one person on our team said, I want to do this for the exposure, and they volunteered.
Huh.
I was going to pay them anyway because I wanted this to be an honest production.
Mhm.
But there is a possibility that we could proceed, albeit very slowly, without funding. It just means that before I can hire the actors to play the roles and actually finish the movie, the episode, we would need to get that squared away. And I've calculated out the voice acting budget at about $1,800. Well, at the current rate on the Patreon, we could have that covered in a year and a half. But I'm hoping that this movie comic idea, especially since I'll be embedding the YouTube link directly onto the webpage, as well as upgrading some of the graphics over there to more effectively showcase our various campaigns. Because you'll notice down the left side of the website, I've got the 3 novels listed for Amazon, but the drive-through comics link is pretty weak. It's just an old image, not very, I don't know if it's very eye-catching, because it's also kind of the generic background image for the tower ad for Project Wonderful when there's no ad there. So it's kind of samey, so I think people are ignoring it. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to add a more prominent Patreon link. And another big thing that's going to be happening after the debut of the first segment of the motion comic is that we have a 3 to 4 page updated interlude at the beginning of Act 4, because I'm going to be putting up the black and white version today. Totally forgot to tell the colorist to color the damn page. I was hoping that she would be scanning the Dropbox for updates, but you know how that goes. But totally forgot to tell the colorist to color the page for this week. So there'll be a black and white version, so that way people won't have a delay in seeing the final page of Act 3.
Mhm.
So we're going to be heading into previously charted waters. A couple of the other things to note is that there is going to be a segment that I removed from Act 3 that is going back in, and that is the fight between Sorthak and Solis. Because I wanted to create more dramatic tension for David and Daenerys to play off of. Plus, I think a couple of things that are going to happen in a future episode of Starship Moonhawk, the webcomic, will not be as impactful if I don't have those characters at odds again. I kind of dialed it back for the last revision, and I've regretted that decision ever since.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the important aspects of dramatic license is that we need to have conflict between our characters, otherwise it becomes boring very quickly. And I had always sort of staged this animus between these two characters. And then for no reason that I can think of off the top of my head, I guess I got afraid or something. I don't know. I thought it was too much. I was like, nah, I'm gonna dial that back. And Sorthak's not really a bad guy or anything like that. And it's like, no, he's kind of a jerk and she's intractable. So it's kind of fitting that they butt heads. So there's a little three-page scene that I'm reworking to coincide with the current storyline. And I'm also writing a new ending. I'm writing a new bridge for Act 2 because I want to give more. We're trying to hire a very, very big name to play Captain Ishido Kamizaki, and if he doesn't appear in this, the biggest production that we've done to date, I think it's going to be hard to convince him to jump on board.
Hmm.
And as it stands, the character only appears on a viewing screen in Act 4 and delivers like maybe 2 or 3 lines. And I'm like, that's not enough for who we have in mind. Also, a few other things that I've had percolating since the inception of the series, but never got around to doing, have been included in the latest iteration. They feature prominently in my as yet unreleased book, The Fire and the Forge. But I'm going to kind of unleash it on the general public in the Mercadian affair. One thing that I'm not sure that people are aware of, and it's always kind of been there, lurking behind the scenes, is that Kamizaki is gay.
Oh my.
Yeah. And he has a romantic interest on the ship. And that is Lieutenant Colin Parsons, his assistant chief engineer. Which I'm sure, as any of you who've had any exposure to military types would know, that having a close relationship like that on board ship is usually kind of hinky for discipline. Now, given the size,
Yeah, that's one of those. Especially, are they both officers or? Sorry, I missed that. So
They're both
that's a whole other thing if it's officers and enlisted. But even then, because of the strict hierarchy and stuff, it can be.
It's problematic because they're in the same command.
Mm-hmm.
If they were assigned to different places or something like that, it wouldn't be so bad. A lot of things have been updated in Starship Moonhawk. It's become edgier. It's become more violent, a little bit more sexual. I've been a lot freer with foul language. Just kind of let things go. The animation projects generally are going to be about PG-13. But the Mercadian Affair, if it were to go up for MPAA rating, would definitely get an R. And a hard one at that. I mean, if you've been reading the comic thus far, we've so far had a lot of nudity and swearing. An entire space station was destroyed rather graphically. Where, I mean, it's like, as the blaster beams ripped through the space station, you actually saw little bodies blow out into space. That kind of thing. And in Act 3, we have had some of the most macabre and horrific death sequences that I have yet committed to the comic page, either by my writing or with somebody else's hand. The gruesome death of Truman Hansen, where she was not only shot through and through 3 times, but disintegrated against a force field. Visually. The arterial spray, the ripping out of throats, Malaya getting shot through the shoulder as she kills 3 Chrysalis in one move. This has to be the most gruesome chapter of Starship Moonhawk written to date. And Act 4 will be a little more PG-13. We're going to dial it back a little bit because of who was the artist for so long. But yeah, we definitely cut loose on this one. So a big part of that was some of the actors that I hired to play voices in the movie comic had to ask me specifically if their character was nude on screen or if they died gruesomely, in which case they would have opted for a pseudonym instead of their real names.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I get that. I said, but your character is safe, and your character is safe, and your character is safe. It's going to be one of those things to where, it's like picking teams for Red Rover, or basketball or whatever. It's like these roles are the ones that are going to be picked last. I just have a feeling about that. One fun announcement, though. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, so what's the timeline on the parts looking like here?
We're going to take a couple of weeks off, and then Keith and I are going to start work on the first half of Act 1. David J.G. Doyle, who plays Commander Sorthak in the series, has agreed to do double duty and do some voice crafting to also play the wicked Lord Gardu. And I'm pretty excited about that because he's got a couple. He's going to play Gardu a little more English, which is kind of interesting, but kind of fitting if you're a Star Wars fan. All the villains, if they have an English accent, they're probably a bad guy.
Right.
But yeah, he's going to play him more princely. And James Larrabee came in, and I explained to him that, our dream fit for Torrance Coulson was Malcolm McDowell. And he says, "Oh, I got this. Hold my beer." And he busts out with this, and Adam, you've heard it. Everybody else will hear it shortly enough. But he busts out with this voice that is like if Mark Hamill were British playing the Joker. And Keith and I were stunned. What's so funny about this is that James originally auditioned to play Admiral Cobalt 2.5 years ago. And his performance in the read was so wooden that I had rejected him out of hand for anything. I didn't even want him for narrator.
Wow.
Well, but it gets better. I saw him doing a bunch of stuff, and I heard a couple of his demo reels, and I said, "Well, that sounds nothing like the guy I got an audition from." So I contacted him because he had friended me on Facebook while I was sitting there, having this crisis of conscience. I'm like, I friended this guy, and I'm like, God, I got to tell him I'm not going to hire him. And then I started looking around at some of the stuff he had done and some of the people he had known, and I said, why don't you give me some samples of other voices you can do? I said, here's a list of characters that we need. Here's a bunch of bit parts that we need for the death of Perseus. I said, why don't you give me some reads on this? Give them different accents, different backgrounds. Make up a little backstory for them if you want. Whatever gets your juices flowing. And he came back and gave me 7 completely unique character experiences. And I'm like, how long have you been doing this? And he's like, oh yeah, I was doing this and that and the other thing. And I was like, Jesus, why didn't you do that in the audition? And he's like, I wasn't sure how to play it. And I'm like, that makes sense. So I got to tell you, I'm so glad that I went back and gave him another shot, because I would have missed out on something really special. And in a fun little side note to that, James's daughter, Morgan, will actually be playing Chancellor Brendel in the film. And it's great because both of them will be playing villains. So it'll be a little fun. Morgan was super excited about that. I said, yeah, it'll be like a father-daughter villain escapade. And she's like, I can't wait. And she's already, at age 18, already a pretty accomplished voice actor. Has done professional gigs for Funimation and a few other places. So it's like, this seems to be like my go-to acting pool now. Is like, if you've got Funimation in your resume, you're on my film, pretty much almost guaranteed if you ask. They don't hire slouches over there, I'll tell you what.
Anyone who's worked for Sentai Filmworks?
I think I've acquired a couple of friends who have. I don't remember who on my list has. I think one of my actors has. I know that.
I mean, it's a lot of the same pool because they're in the same area.
I think, and I'd have to look at her profile, but I think Kaylee Mills has not only worked for Funimation. That's I said when I got Skylar Davenport, Kaylee Mills, Kira Buckland, and I forget the fourth one. But when I got those 4 actors, I said that was my quartet of Funimation stars. But Skylar Davenport will also be playing Colonel Malaya. So in addition to being Captain Sky Cobalt in Space Destroyer Hunter, she's going to be Colonel Malaya. Now, if we make more post-Mercadian Affair Starship Moonhawk episodes, and I've already told Keith and Alex that given how well this has turned out, I would very much like to have more movie comics done. If that's the case, then Skylar will have 2 different starring roles in 2 different Starship Moonhawk productions.
You're not worried about like confusion or anything?
No, because she actually played them vastly different. But there's also a kind of big plot reveal that's about to happen that will tie it all together. Actually, I'll just go ahead and spoiler it because the page is going up tonight. Malaya, for those of you who read the old version, keep your mouth shut, but Malaya is Admiral Cobalt's lost daughter. So I thought it was kind of funny that I originally hired Skylar to play Malaya and then hired her to play Sky, Cobalt's other daughter. And they both have red hair. but she plays them very differently. They still sound recognizably like you could tell kind of sort of that they're related by how they sound. But Malaya is played a little softer and younger sounding, and Sky is played a little more hard and authoritative. It's very different. So even though they have similar sounding voices, they're actually clearly different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and amusingly, Malaya now becomes Sky's slightly bigger sister. And that's another part of the whole plot reveal here. That Sky was born a year after Cobalt got back from Mercade. So, but I won't go too much more into detail on that because there's a big story segment regarding how Cobalt had children on Mercade and how he escaped and all of that stuff with the crew of the ship that he was serving on at the time and all that stuff coming up in Act 5. And what's important about that is that since the art assets for Act 4 and 5 already exist, as soon as this new bridge piece that we're creating to sort of shore up any inconsistencies between the storylines, as soon as that's complete, Starship Moonhawk goes 3 times a week. Because I have 60, 65 pages of leftover assets. Some of which I've already converted over. New characters were introduced. There's a character that actually replaces Rachel Harrison on the bridge in Act 4 that is being fleshed out more in depth. So it's kind of like a sneak preview of this character, but she's being fleshed out more in depth in my new book, Square Peg and a Round Hole. And that's Commander Sarah Issa, who is Syrian and of the Muslim faith. So we have a very diverse crew, and as I said before, I'm not going to shy away from being edgy or have characters that might rub some people the wrong way, if you catch my drift. Part of the excitement of being a novelist and now a filmmaker. And amusingly enough, I've done a blitzkrieg of friending on Facebook to try and find more actors and try to expand my pool, because frankly I was getting a lot of Wonder Bread, to be honest with you. And what I really wanted to do was, I figured if I just kept friending people and expanding my pool, that I'd be able to find people that more closely match the ethnic backgrounds of the characters that I've picked. Because that's really important to me. I don't care, I don't give 2 shits if you can do an accent. What I care about is actual representation in my series. Because if I'm going to put in a Muslim character, or if I'm going to put in a black character, or a Native American character, or somebody who's Latin or Hispanic, and so on and so forth, I'd like to be able to give that part, even if it's just their voice, to a more ethnically diverse cast.
You mean have the black guy actually voiced by a black guy?
Right. Or the Japanese guy actually voiced by a Japanese guy, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of people apply for parts, and I had to turn them down because I'm like, it's like I'm not going to get into that trap. And I know that this is an accepted practice in voice acting because you can't see the person, but I'm not. I don't want to be that producer. I want to blaze new trails here. I want to give opportunity to people who have been otherwise denied. You know. But don't get me wrong. I'm not doing this for, easement of some kind of guilt or anything like that. It's just a matter of, I know what it sounds like, and I want to do the right thing. And I found some amazing actors, actually. Last night, I was just talking to a Brazilian gal. And the whole reason she even contacted me was because I friended her. And then she says, wait, do I know you? And then we started talking about the film that I'm working on. And then she's like, oh, wow, I really love doing voiceover work. And I'm like, you should put that on your resume. So I've got a Brazilian to represent one of our Caribbean characters, and I've been in contact with a gal who's from Jamaica to play one of our a character that has a background in the Caribbean. So we've got probably one of the so far assembled. I'd like to think that we've got one of the more diverse casts in this particular business. I could be wrong, but it's important to me, and it's kind of topical now. All right. Run out of stuff to say about that. You guys have all gotten quiet.
Well, you went on a very, 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 very long speech there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's important to me, and I want to make sure that I'm expressing it correctly.
We know, which is why the silence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I'm not trying to be a cretin or anything like that. Actually, I think that's what a number of these people thought. They were like, okay, I'm a pretty girl or something like that. And he's some 40-year-old dude. What do you want? Whoa, whoa. Seriously, I'm legit. I'm just trying to get more contacts in the industry. Yeah. All right, so let's get the wrap up going here. Do you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns about what's going on?
I got nothing.
I got nothing either.
All right.
Golds
Ogre,
may
I'm
have
sorry.
died.
Ogre, I'm sorry I didn't bring up Donald Trump.
I'm pretty sure we'll have multiple chances in the coming weeks.
Especially when the political podcast comes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of when we'll be able to do the last news desk on the left. But I'm kind of excited about the prospect because we're always like, let me at him. Every podcast.
I know.
Jumping out of our chair to take a shit on somebody in the political arena.
I'm aware of that. We should have done this before.
Yeah, I wish this was a thing now because I have a mighty heap of shit to take. phrasing.
In your bathroom.
What?
I have a mighty need. But yeah, just quick update for the fans out there. I've actually set up my voice recording studio. I may actually be once some of my stuff is out there, I may actually be putting myself out there for a possible career change. I've been doing podcasting now for 9 years?
Something like that.
We've been at this for a while.
Yeah.
Send help and cookies.
Yeah, no, it's only been 8.
Okay.
8 years in next month. Like remember we started
Well-
MS 2009.
Yeah, but I was doing it for almost a year before that.
And
Remember,
True.
I was a regular guest on TGT.
fair enough, fair enough. But yeah,
So I've been doing it for almost 9 years now, and I'm making connections and getting all that stuff together.
Yeah.
And it seems like the time to throw my hat out there. Plus, I'm not as apprehensive as I used to be about putting myself out there for this kind of thing. You
get used to it.
Yeah, had a lengthy international call with a former producer, and he is the founder. And we'll get into this in a later show, but he's the founder of the Sci-Fi Film Festival in Sydney, Australia, and was actually a pretty prominent producer for a long time. I had about a 90-minute conversation with this gentleman, and very enlightening, I gotta say. But if this had been 5 years ago, maybe 10, I wouldn't have been able to take that call.
You would have been like, nope.
Yeah, just talking to people wasn't really the problem, because I've been in retail for 22 years now. But talking to somebody who's on a different level than me, that's a whole other matter.
Yeah, Fragments of Silicon really helped me with that because, just some of the guests that have passed through our halls have been pretty impressive in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
And
when you're
we've broken the front page of IGN on multiple occasions.
I'm
Nice.
talking more about like interviewing, say, Grant Kirkhope.
Well, yeah.
He's a legendary composer in the industry, and in terms of stature, is way above us. But he agreed to do our show, and we did a really good interview. Or Tom Hall, or Robert Woodhead, or any number of veterans of the industry that we've done interviews with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's few people I think within the games industry that I have like stature issues with. I'm talking like if we got like, say, people from Nintendo or something. But yeah, it can be scary at first.
Mm-hmm.
Ask you a quick question. You can sign off here if you wanted to mention something else, since we're talking about game-related stuff.
You're kind of cutting in and out.
Uh-oh.
Right.
I think it's better.
Yeah.
One of our new composers on Starship Moonhawk
Uh-huh.
did music for Pokemon Uranium.
Right.
So
that was a fan game, yes. Like,
so we're
It's a relatively high profile fan game,
yeah.
although it definitely has issues.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Unlike, say, AM2R, Pokemon Uranium wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm reading a Let's Play of it currently, so
it certainly was high profile enough for Nintendo to put the clamps on it.
yeah, but that's not a very high threshold.
High enough, apparently. It's like, well, it was high. It was notable enough that people paid attention.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
He's composed some new pieces that we're reviewing, and Keith is reworking in Sibelius to make them into more movie soundtracky pieces. Because I'm telling you, one of these pieces, I was like, man, I feel like I should be picking up BFG ammo, because this sounds like E1M1 right here. I should be getting bullets from my gun, taking down some imps or something. Where's that shotgun? But it's actually pretty great. I'm kind of excited to hear this because we haven't had some new blood in the composer department for some time. I mean, even Jared officially stopped writing new music for Starship Moonhawk in 2008. So. But that may change. Anybody else talking?
No.
Oh,
Not at the instant.
I saw
Are we still live?
Yes.
We're just doing the wrap up.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I had to leave for a little while.
That's serious, huh?
It might be moving to my stomach.
Oh no.
Too bad.
Oh dear.
Well, on that positive note.
Yeah.
When I
All
get
right.
sick, I never get sick in like one place. It like over the course of a week or so, it moves like everywhere you can possibly be sick.
Oh, geez. Well, on that positive note. All right. So again, just to reiterate, make sure you check my YouTube channel. I'm Mr. Palladino on YouTube for the imminent release of the opening act of Starship Moonhawk, the Mercadian Affair movie comic.
Ooh, question about that.
Yeah.
You have a specific time it's releasing on Friday.
It's gonna be midnight the night before.
Okay.
And that's going to be Arizona time. So that's 11 p.m. Pacific and about 3
2
a.m. on the East Coast. So it's going to be pretty exciting. And right now I have a whopping 16 subscribers. Let's see if that number goes up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know.
And something about commenting?
Yeah, commenting is good too. Keep it simple, folks. You know. I'd hate to have to bring out my band Jackhammer. But I'm very excited about it. It came together extraordinarily well, and as Adam will probably no doubt tell you, it is not just us wiggling panels of the comic around. All new special effects, all new sound effects, new music, the whole 9 yards. So, hopefully people will consider it a high quality production. But like I said, be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mr. Palladino. You're watching it right now if you're on the podcast page. Yeah. Until next time, though, I'm your host, Mac Paladin, and on behalf of the crew at Moonhawk Studios Presents, thanks for listening and stay safe out there, kids.